Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Wrestle Plug podcast. I am your host, King of Shithousery, as always. By the way, this is 18 plus, boys. I should point this out. I didn't point this out earlier, so I swear, do whatever the fuck you please. I could give two shits. I am here next, as I've just said. Joining me are the collective known as The Business. One half is Mr. Clean, Anton Green, and the other half, of course, I've got to get this right because otherwise he'll slap me up, Gabriel Hitman Myers. Welcome to the boys. Dangerous, dangerous business when you cross the business. The second tag team, I believe, to ever come on the podcast as an actual duo, but of course, the most important one. Welcome to the podcast, boys. I appreciate you coming on. We've been trying to get this off the ground for some time, haven't we? It's
been a while.
It has been a while. Like Gabe, I can understand, but Anton Green's been ducking me.
Gabe's lucky though, because Gabe's part of the reason, but he's not actually the face. Like I'm at the show, and you're like, when you come on the podcast, we're in the podcast. I'm like, Gabe gets to just hide in the background.
Yo, you must be scared of Hitman as well. I said to you, you can come on as a solo, and you're like, no, not without Gabe, man.
Well, no, it's a tag team thing. I feel like I'm doing him a disservice. We've got to at least come on as a team.
Oh yeah,
I can smell the fear dripping off of you, bro.
Yeah, he told me, don't you dare go on that podcast without me.
I was gonna say he's the heavyweight unit of that section as well. Right, we're gonna have some boring shit just to get out of the way, and then we'll get into obviously the fun stuff. So, how long have you been a tag team for?
I think we're going like the official first time we actually teamed up. That'd be like 2010.
Yeah, 2010. Yeah,
2009. 2009. We formed like the business as a group.
Yeah,
it was like the three of us. It was me, Gabe, and a guy called Dom Taylor. So it was like that was the group originally called the business. So we sort of broke it off as a two-man tag team and started doing tag team matches in 2010. So you'd say the business started in 2009. We were aligned, but first match 2010.
Yeah.
Is that Dom and Dom who used to be?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, sweet. Yeah, we know Dom well. Yeah, we got a lot of love for Dom. What happened to Dom? Did he just not fancy it, or was he going solo at the time, or?
Oh, I kind of worms with Dom. To be honest, it is. I mean, yeah, we won't go into it here, but we had a bit of a falling out with Dom.
Yeah,
both at the same time at the end of last year. But unfortunately, going back, like if you go back historically, there's things with Dom that you couldn't really. We were supposed to be like a group.
Yeah.
And you could just like Dom wasn't reliable in lots, like in terms of bookings and stuff like that. Sometimes kind of like leave us in the lurch, because Gabe had only just that year that we started like the business was 2009. That was his debut year as well.
Yeah, that's true.
So, so we were kind of like, I just figured, you know what, let us just make the team. So because we can't always we couldn't rely on Dom. So it's like, let us focus on it. Let's get gear together. So that's when we got like the business gear. Yeah. Let's call ourselves the business as a tag team. And then and Dom kind of just fell off the radar for a bit, came back. But we never rejoined it as the business. Sometimes we teamed up. We've done like a 6-man tag with him a few years later, like for another promotion. But it was never like, okay, let's bring him back in as part of the business. It just became, that's our thing now. It's like it's me and him.
Yeah,
that's fair enough. Which one of you started first in the business?
Oh, that'll be Anton.
That'd be me. About 10 years before.
Yeah.
Basically, which one of you is really old? Can
you tell?
Now I'm old because I'm going bald, but and I've got a bit of grey coming through. But Anton.
I started 1999. So a whole 10 years before my first match. Yeah.
Fuck, you have aged well, haven't you, bro?
Thank you.
Mate, I am feeling every bit of the 8 years I've been in. That's fair, man. So how do you find Gabe then? How do you run across him?
So I mean, that was through Dom, because Gabe had done like, I speak for Gabe, but Gabe had done like amateur wrestling and was also breaking into the pro. So I'd been teaming up with Dom previously as a tag team, and we'd stopped teaming up again because of like reliability issues, but we were still friends. We were still like, we'd see each other at shows. And then he sort of introduced me to Gabe and saying like, that's like Gabe wants to get into the pro. So he'd come along with us to some of the shows, and we just sort of like bonded from there. And it's like, I would be somebody that Gabe would come to for advice. And as I said, once I felt like Dom was kind of letting the side down a little bit there, it's like, okay, well, let us just, so that, and then we just became close friends in and out of the ring. So like, that's got, it was Dom that linked us up, and it was just one of those things that, we just really connected well.
Hit it
To
off
be hon-
immediately.
to be honest, I think it's not a strange one, but it's like a weird one, Anton, because like I say, Anton met me obviously through Dom, but I had done amateur wrestling years before.
Yeah.
So I was doing it from like 2005, 2006. And at the time, do you know Lucy Clayton and Bustard Clayton?
No.
No, so they
I've been sort of drop kicks like
like
early to mid 2000s maybe. Yeah. Whatever.
So basically Buster Clayton, who became, I think it was come off bronze medal, I think it's in mid 2000s. Her father Ray trained me in amateur, and I was at the time it was like 2005, 2006, and at the time we went over to like drop kicks, and I was doing training basically with John Ritchie, John Hall, and I kept thinking, who are these old guys? And funny enough, obviously, like teach me the basics and everything, but I'll go in there, go in the ring with them, and I ain't gonna lie. I won't call him old, but even for an old amount of time, John Hall couldn't break him, couldn't do anything. And back then, big strapping, just nothing.
Big old shooters.
Oh gosh, proper.
Yeah. John Hall was like, I remember when I first trained, and he came to like the Hammerlock gym, and we were told he was like, he weren't as glorified, but he was kind of like our version of Lou Fez, like the British Fez. That's what our trainer Andre Baker said. Like he's kind of like our version of Fez, the hooker, the one who could really like knows all of these sort of like submission holds and stuff. And it's like in the amateur world, and shoot, like he's
good.
Yeah,
he's good. Oh, he's proper.
Yeah,
he's proper. But like I say, obviously met Dom because basically what it was in a weird way. It's stupid. I did an amateur competition, broke my leg, my foot turned literally the other way. So I was out of wrestling for like literally about a year and a half. And then I remember just saying, I need to get back into amateur wrestling, but from the pro side. Met Dom, was doing training with Dom, and I remember he kept saying, I got a tag team partner. And I can say it now, obviously I never really told Anton at the time, but I remember when he said, I got a tag team partner, I thought he was like this big, strong guy like him. And I was thinking, what this small guy?
Anything but.
Yeah, I was like this small guy there, thing. And I used to always call him Malenko, obviously from Dean Malenko, which I know he never liked. And
no, I was all right with that. I was gonna say I'm Green Malenko.
I know.
It's quite a nice. Quite nice. Nice claim to fame.
Good shit, that is. I want more of that. How the fuck have I not seen that on a t-shirt yet? Like, come on, man. That's my jam. That's what I do. That's unbelievable. So yeah, like, what was your first impression of Anton like when you first met him? Were you like,
cool guy?
Size comparison wise, obviously very different. You're thinking like, behave.
No, I think for me, like, cool guy, very nice guy and everything. And obviously, just from what I saw of him, I thought, yeah, obviously he knows what he's doing. He knows doing the ring and everything. And I thought, okay, I want to learn from this guy. But I think my thing was more, yes, it's the in-ring stuff, but it's psychology. And Anton knows me. Again, I love like the character. I love the psychology. I do like the in-ring stuff, don't get me wrong. But I would say to Anton, why do 10 punches to the face when literally two can work just as effective? You know what I mean? And like I said, small guy and everything. And I thought, you know what? I remember thinking, I'm sure if it was a shoot, I could probably take him. And fair enough, years down the line, he used to do his own little training session. And I was like, oh, he's tough. I thought he's tough. It's like, don't look at him and think, okay, he can't do anything. Like, yeah, he's a small guy, but you know what? He can defend himself in a physical fight, but also even in a shoot as well. So I'm like, yeah.
Do you think your size, like, have you found that most people have tried you quite a lot more than maybe they would have if you were larger, Anton? Do you feel like because of your size that you've had to kind of had that pitbull mentality a bit? Because I know you can handle your shit, but people who meet you might be like, and also you're super, super nice, which is really unlike the business, isn't it? Like, let's be real, like, not the business, but our business
in general,
You know, like, I'm sure you guys are nice from time to time, but, you know, like, do you feel like people have tested you out more because of your size?
I think, in the sense that people don't always they take you for granted. I mean, I like to think that I haven't got that sort of, I do have that pride in me sometimes when people think like underestimate me, but in a sense, I'm not that like the small man syndrome that I'll just lose my head if I feel like I'm being sort of, I can take a little bit, but I do feel sometimes, you are getting that little bit of like disrespect, but you just feel like, because if somebody does, I don't really feel like I've really been sort of bullied or like people really try me. I've always felt like in a situation, when I was at school or on the streets, I always feel like for me, this is why I would never do like door work, or something like that. Because I feel like for me, I'd have to be fighting all the time. I can't rely on intimidation, like appearance. Gabe could get away with, like, he probably could do door work, and 9 times out of 10 he wouldn't. Yeah, it's not going to escalate to anything. He can look after himself if he did, but he doesn't need to. Some people have got the look, but if it actually kicked off, oh no, you're in trouble. But probably again, 9 times out of 10 it's not going to get to that point. You can bet with me, if I was trying to tell somebody to calm down on the door, they'd just say, you what? And then just, I'd end up having to. But I don't really feel like I've had that so much like in the wrestling. I've had you had a few people that probably sort of look down. Yeah, I think it's more in the sense that I wouldn't really get you're not going to get the breaks as much because you don't look the part, and I think from that perspective, like, I'm not somebody, I couldn't sort of show, like, I couldn't, you're not going to look at me just in the street and think, yeah, he's a wrestler. I think I've had to sort of like do it other ways, and I can't always do it. I've done mine more through character, I think, of making my sort of name. Like, like in the early days, I was a good sort of technical wrestler. That's what people always say, like a good technical wrestler. And then in later years, I've kind of, doing the Mr. Clean thing or the tag team with Gabe. It's like, it's more about like interaction with the crowd and stuff. And I probably veer more towards comedy, not as much when I do it with Gabe, but if I'm, because we do a bit more of a serious tag team, but we still do it. Yeah. Like we still play the fool a little bit, especially me more. So I'll take that sort of brunt, but yeah, I can't do what Gabe does. It wouldn't look right. I shouldn't be there like tossing people around, big, tons of suplexes, just battering people down for the whole match. It just don't fit. So I sort of done my moveset as, I adapted that. Like you won't tend to see me lift people and throw them. And it's not because I can't lift somebody. It's just, I figure that should be my moveset 9 times out of 10.
How long's the transition between meeting each other, becoming a tag team, to actually developing the business that everybody knows today? The jackets, the security look, the bats, the kind of almost like there's a lot of blend in there, isn't there? It's like bouncers, but it's also like football hooligans. It's like the police.
Yeah,
a little bit of everything there. It's quite cool.
Yeah, I mean that came pretty early on. I think once we decided we're an actual tag team, because originally, like, if you saw us come together with Dom, like it was just a mixture of, like, I had my like white trunks, Gabe had like a blue like Adidas like leotard, like singlet. Dom had his like regular singlets. Like, we just had a mishmash of stuff.
Yeah.
Once we decided, okay, we're the business as a team, and I think how it originally started was like because I came up with the name The Business from watching. I remember there was a Danny Dyer film called The Business, and I just thought that sounds like, I like the name of that, and I thought, because it's kind of like, it's almost like a statement as well. It's like, we are the best. We're the business. Like, we're good. You know what I mean? It's like, you're the dogs. We're the business. So that was like, that fits down. We were going for like a bit of like a British, let's say almost like a little like hooligans, like, or crime sort of outfit, like a firm. So it's like, okay, we're the business. So it's the business, like a firm, but then we are making a statement about ourselves. But the look stuff, I mean, we didn't really put, because I used to wear like shirt and tie with my trunks, and that was like my Mr. Clean look. And so I kind of started having that almost like I'm a little bit of a gangster with like the two heavies. But once we brought it as an actual tag team, it's like Gabe still had his singlet, I still had my white trunks, and we thought, like, what should we wear? So we got shorts, like white shorts, come up with the logo with like the fist, and so that got that on the back. And then Gabe said, the bomber jacket. I thought, let's get the bomber jacket. Gabe said about like the glasses similar to what he's wearing now. He loves those aviator.
Oh, I love it. Believe me.
He looks like a boss, doesn't it?
Yeah. So it's like, he said, like, let's wear aviators. So that's kind of like, we put it together. The bats only came like in the last like probably like 4 years.
Yeah.
That was through an angle that we'd done of bringing us back together, where I like came to Gabe's aid when he's being jumped, and it's like, obviously I needed the equalizer, and I wasn't a wrestler at that time. I'd gone like to the promoter in the story, so it's like, but I'm helping my friend. So I'm like, like a shopkeeper with the bat behind the desk. I come out from behind like the merchandise desk with a baseball bat to clear everyone off. It's like, that's now our thing. So we now come out with the bats, and then it's like, it's almost like we're policing. So it's exactly what you said. It's like so many different aspects sort of all into one. Are we like hooligans? Are we like the law? It's like, we're a bit of everything, depending on the circumstance.
The obviously tag team dynamics are really different to singles dynamics. Everyone knows that. What's the mental state like when you've been a tag team for so long? Is it difficult to keep that like unity, that synergy? Like, do you fall out? Do you have days where you just think, I've had enough of your shit?
No, I can honestly say, I mean, obviously we have disagreements about stuff, like but never like an actual. I don't think we've ever actually had a falling out. Like we've
No.
disagreed about stuff, and we might, yeah, like he might have said some things to me about something that, yeah, but generally it's no, we don't. I mean, and most of our disagreements are like friendly disagreements about wrestling or philosophies and stuff like that, and a little bit of he likes to play like devil's advocate sometimes. And I think sometimes he don't even believe what he's like arguing, but he wants to argue that point with me. So we get something that gets a little bit like animated, but not in the sense that I'm angry with him, I'm upset with him, or vice versa. I can, I can't say.
Give me an example.
Oh, there's just too many. Like you know, there's
how
something
convenient.
Okay.
If there's anything there, he'll pick the opposite version of it. You could tell if I said the sky it's a bit dark now, is it? He'd be like, no, it's like he just want to argue it sometimes for the sake of it.
I'll give an example. So Cody Rhodes, for example, he's the dog bollocks. Everyone loves him. Anton knows literally from when I first saw him, when he came up with Hardcore Holly and won the tag belts, I liked him from there. And for some reason, Anton knows me. I like the underdog. I love an underdog, and I want to support them. And it's like I'm the dad. I want to support them. I want to teach them and grow them. And when they get there, it's okay. You're on your own now. So like Cody Rhodes, again, he was going up. He was having his little issue. He was with Legacy. Had the thing with Ted. Had the broken nose, the mask, Stardust. Even when he left. He went Ring of Honor, Japan, and everything, AEW. And for some reason, I told Anton, I said, as soon as he got to AEW, I'm like, all right, I'm done with you now. I'm done. Move on.
I think that's a little bit to do with he's AEW in general as well. He shows AEW as like the enemy.
Yep. I'm like, you're done. I'm like, see you later, you're gone. And like Anton's always saying to me, oh, but you always support him. I'm like, listen, he's on his own now. And I said, well, look, he's come back to WWE. Now everyone loves him. I'm like, you bunch of idiots. Like when he was there, none of you guys cared about him. You didn't like him. You didn't support him. Me, I put money down in my head. I watched him in my head. I did everything for him, air quotes. And now, basically, as you come back in there, things like, you know, the real supporters, real fans like me, you push me aside. I'm like, all right, screw you. Go away then. Go away from me. So yeah.
Anton, you got a rebuttal for that?
I mean,
AEW, are you?
I feel like for me, I feel like I'm very much, and he says sometimes that I'm just trying to give the correct answers. I'm very much of like I'm open-minded towards. See, there you go. He's off.
Basically, what I am, I'm the guy who keeps it real. I say it like it is. Anton is the guy who likes to be down the middle. I'm like, no. If something needs to be said, bam, just say it. That's me.
But he'll sometimes say something that don't need to be said just because he wants to say, because he doesn't want to follow like the popular line. He doesn't want, if it's popular, it's got to be wrong.
Yep.
I'm of the thing, if it's popular, it might be right, it might be wrong. If it's not popular, it might be right, it might be wrong. Gabe's like, no, popular's wrong. Go against the grain.
I'm not a sheep. I'm the shepherd.
I'm not a sheep. But this is often our podcast because we'll end up sort of like there'll be something that's happened straight away. Gabe is yes, you can.
I need some of that in my life. Like, everyone else has become too fucking weak over here. Like, I'm bored of it. To be honest, looking at Gabe is like looking at a much better looking black version of myself, if I'm being real. He's very similar to me. I do like to go very much against the popularity grain. As you know, I fucking hate AEW. I think it's garbage. Like,
you're my guy. You're my guy.
It's garbage,
you are my Oga. You're my Oga.
One of the main questions I had lined up for you was, what are your opinions of the Young Bucks?
Oh, go on, Gabe. That's the floor to you there.
Listen, to me, I'll be real with you. I don't like the Young Bucks. I don't know these guys, but you know what? I'm not a fan of their wrestling style. They don't look cool. They're not snappy. They're nothing. And people might say, "Oh, Gabe's being harsh and everything." I'll just keep it real. Guys like what's their real names? Is it Matt and Jack or Jeremy? What his name is? The Young Bucks.
Oh yeah, Nick and Matt Jackson. Yeah.
Nick and Matt. These guys, and again, I was never a bully. I was never a bully in school or college or anything like that. But these guys were the dorks, the neeks that nobody didn't want to be around. They were just the guys who would sit in the corner, be playing the action figures and everything. And now, because not a bad way, all the cool guys, all the real guys aren't around them all. They're there. And again, I hear people all say, "Oh, they're cool." I'm like, what's cool about them? They're cheesy. They don't get women. Again, they get women because they have money now, but I don't know. Yeah.
Anton, you seem very quiet, mate.
Well, I mean, when it comes to like the Young Bucks, they're not someone that I don't. so I won't argue with Gabe for the sake of like, oh, I want to argue their but to me, I don't have a strong opinion on them. They're not like one of my favorite acts to watch, but at the same time, I don't have a hatred towards them. So
I don't have a hatred. I don't have a hatred.
I tend to like 9 times out of 10, I'll probably skip their matches just because of that. Like I tend to, there's only so much wrestling like I can watch nowadays. Like, whereas when I was younger, like I was obsessed with wrestling. Like as a teenager, like I watched absolutely any wrestler I could get my hands on all the day, every day if I could. That's how I was. Now it's like obviously I still like wrestling. I still like to watch wrestling, but I tend to find a lot of times like it does disengage me, especially the style that we got nowadays. The most popular one. Yeah. So they'll be the ones that most of the time, if I watch it, like I'm gonna be watching. It's like, okay, now I'm not invested in the match because good stuff, great, like the athleticism, the moves they're doing awesome, but I'm not connected to the match. It's like the story. I could watch it on the highlight reel. That's how I feel about that. So it's like I'd rather just fast forward to see who wins, move on. So that's they're one of the ones that would sort of sit in that bracket for me. So I don't. That'd be my sort of negative stance on them, is that I feel that they tend to be the matches that are just so many moves for the sake of moves that
it's boring.
Get into
it. To me, it's like the match never changes. There's no suspension. There's no suspension of disbelief. I don't ever watch a Young Bucks match and think, you know what, this is real. I never watch it and think, you know what, even 10% of it could be real. Nope, never.
Because it's a gymnastics performance, that's why.
Yeah. I mean, that's it, and it's like you can give credit to it. And if that's what people want to watch, that's fine. It's like for me, like I just and there's what they say, like different strokes for different folks. That's your fate. Like I just feel like they're not the matches I really want to watch. So I don't, and that's how I look at it. Like I don't form a really strong opinion on them because I just like I tend to just sort of skip. I've probably watched a couple of their matches all the way through, but they don't sit in my they don't stick with me because it's like it's just gone, like it's not made that impression on me because of the way the match is structured.
You know what it is for me? Because I'll end it on this with the Young Bucks. Again, it's not that I hate them. I don't know these guys, but I just don't like the fact that they have so much influence on the business. And it's like I said to you, it always goes back to my style of wrestling is I want you to look at me and think, you know what? I know this is a work, but he's real. He's real. It's the old Ole Anderson thing where he talks about in his shoot that I don't care what anybody else is doing, but I want to go out there and I want that guy in front of me. So, you know what? I hate that guy so much. I want to stab him. I don't want to be stabbed. Don't get me wrong, but I want to get you to that point where, you know what? I want to hurt you so much. So one of my things I used to do when I first started, I used to always go for many kids. So I'd literally go right to the kid's face. I'll go right to the woman's face. I'd talk about how, get in the kitchen, go on all fours, you're nothing, da-da-da-da-da. And I know legitimately they get pissed off. The boyfriend or husband's there and everything. Obviously, I'm not going to back away and everything. And most times it'll be Anton's kind of there to kind of like, okay, no. And I kind of walk off, go back in the ring. So, yeah.
No, it's beautifully said. I've literally, like Anton knows, he spent way too much time with me, bless him, at Rumble. Like, I really like realism. I like the idea that that's why I like someone like Tate Mayfair, because even though his style might be slightly too polished for some people, the way he talks, he's very much like, if you've seen the people, the way they react to Rumble, it's bananas. Like they believe that shit. They do.
Yeah. I think that's the point, because you want you don't want to don't worry about the moves. Moves don't matter. The wrestling doesn't matter. The wrestling, I think if you can, like Tate, if you can tick both boxes, like that's beautiful.
True.
Like to me, if you can get both, if you can actually have good quality wrestling with the moves, because that should count for something. But like you say, he interacts with the crowd. He gets them invested. The way he wrestles his matches, he's not just thinking, I just want to get all these moves in and move on to the next one. It's like he tells the story in the match. Because Rumble's a perfect promotion for him to really take. Like he can still do his moves, but he can take his time to tell that story, because that's what that audience is going to require, and they're going to go like crazy for him, because like he gets insane sort of reactions. From what we've seen at Rumble, and I know obviously there's other promotions that he'll wrestle for, and he'll probably get on with the wrestling a little bit more. But it's like he can do both, and he just sort of delivers. And I think that's what I like from wrestling. That's when it's that's when I just love to watch someone like MJF. If we're going to for AEW, it's like I would prefer to watch someone like him who does good moves. Like he don't just do punch kick, no wrestling moves, but he does that. Plus he actually works as a character. but also when he's in a match, like his stuff means something. He takes his time, like he makes sure it gets across. He's not plodding. That's the thing. We're not saying like, oh, just take your time, just plod through the match. Don't put yourself out. It's not that saying. It's not even about like why do so much. It's like you're counterproductive because you're doing so much and getting less for it. You're making the match worse by doing more. So why? Why are you going to do more? Not because just you be lazy, don't do so much. It's like it's not even that. It's like the match isn't as good. The match you kill off the match, you kill off the story, so the match don't register. And it's like okay, it was an okay match, and yet it shouldn't be. It's like so many moves. It doesn't make sense, but it does. I think that's the thing. Like people just I think will assume like no, you just have to be so busy, otherwise you're not putting on your best sort of performance.
And that's why the Young Bucks infuriate me because they've perpetuated that insinuation. That
theory, yeah.
That it's go, 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 go. Like everything is rapid. It needs to be gymnastically performed. And then I just tune out because I'm not watching any real performance other than.
Or you are watching a performance. Like you're watching it does look like, okay, I'm waiting for the catch. I'm waiting for this move. Like, all right, just stand there. Like, I mean, that's the thing. If you look at it like, obviously, we know wrestling's not, there's even watch classic wrestling, it's like you can pick holes in it, but you can also like watching a Rocky movie. It's not like watching an actual box, but they tell you the story and you can believe they're having a fight in there. When it comes to like a wrestling match, if you've got somebody in like all of this, if you're going to fight, you're not always going to be like bouncing around and waiting. Like you'll be going for moves. Like you've got to have some. Now it's like, okay, let's just drop any realism. Let's just drop our hands and wait for the next move. It's like you wouldn't, would you? You just hit someone with something. You're not going to then just spin around and wait and just stand with your guard down. You've got to keep a little bit of realism there. Like, so I think, I mean, that's one thing. Like again, another person that's not very popular on our podcast. So we like Seth Rollins.
Oh,
but one thing I'll say for him, like at least when he does do some of his like better than some. When I've seen like sometimes he actually makes like if he gets caught in a move, it actually looked like he was trying another move. As like I'll give him credit for that. But yeah, if you want to hear another rant out of Gabe, Seth Rollins is your man.
What's going on? Like Seth Rollins is considered the workers' worker, isn't he, to a lot of people in WWE. Like, so I'm not a massive fan. I don't have a disdain for him like I do like the Young Bucks or anything. But I must admit, like I was watching obviously the most recent pay-per-view, like Backlash, right? And I just felt like Seth Rollins didn't have nearly as much star power as like a Brock Lesnar or a Roman Reigns or a guy like that. And when you say that, people are like, what? But he's the guy. And it's like, yeah, but being the guy that's just been there for a long time, it's like The Miz has been there for a long time. The Miz is not the fucking Rock. The Miz is not Stone Cold Steve Austin. But what I love about The Miz is he's happy in his spot and elevating other people and working on. That's why I've got so much love for him. Whereas man, also Seth Rollins just bitching online. Like, just constantly fucking crying about I deserve this, I deserve that. Man, fuck you. You've been like champion of everything. Like you've done everything in our business and main event at WrestleMania. What are you crying about? And also you got Becky Lynch at home and a lovely kid. Like, man, shut up. that's what annoys me. Like when I hear multi-millionaires bitching, I just tune you out there and I'm like, nah, I haven't got time for that.
You know what it is with Seth for me? I think it's that thing where Anton talked about, again, we don't want it to just to be plodding, and I think I'm going to make a statement here, people. This is me again. I would say it's me talking. I do have a big, big love for wrestling, but people always say that, AEW is moves. I think wrestling in general today is just moves and no psychology. Even WWE. I watched that. I say to myself, who's a heavyweight? You know, I think I was on our podcast. I always use an example of boxing. So again, we're all older men now. I grew up watching Tyson, Riddick Bowe, Evander Holyfield, Ray Mercer. All these big 6 foot odd strong guys. Yes, you don't have to be 6 foot odd and everything, but you have to have some sort of intimidation, some sort of presence about you. I look at Seth and I'm thinking, you don't look strong, you don't look hard, you don't look scary, you don't look like a boss. Ugh. But also, you're not funny. You're cheesy. This gimmick he's got at the moment, it's so cheesy. Again, what was he before, Anton? Well, I'm the architect.
I lose track sometimes. It was like
I'm the architect.
The Messiah, the architect.
What's an architect? What's an architect though? He builds stuff. What makes you the architect? Oh, I'm just the architect. Why? Oh, because my friend Triple H, he betrayed me. Oh, piss off. Piss off.
Love it.
Piss off. Like, again,
Going.
I know it's a storyline. Again, we all know it's a work and everything, but I go back to one more example. I think, was it Seth and Becky against, was it Corbin and
Lacey Evans?
Lacey Evans. And I'll never forget it. The end of days to Becky Lynch. I was like, yes, thank God. I was like, do you know how long I've waited for someone just to do that to her? Just get rid of this chick, man. Again, she's good, but you're not how would you say? You're not the best of the best from that stance. And just the crowd's going crazy, but it was just the smirk on Corbin's face. Just like the looking at Seth. And Seth's just kind of looking at him, just And I've always said to Anton, I would have said, you know what? I would have taken an audible and said, WB, I'm sorry, but I'm not doing your way. I'm going to punch him, throw him outside, throw him on the announce table, get chairs, smash him over the head, do something. What was he doing? Got the chair, hit him on his back. Was it 3 end of days and everything? And then that's it. I'm like, mate, this man just slammed your wife, beat down the mother of your child. That's what you're going to do. Okay.
Because he's not the man in a relationship.
No. Anton, he's the man's man. That's what he is. He's the man's man. That's what Oh, Seth. But again, people are going to say, oh, I'm hating on Seth. Nothing against Seth, but he's just not my guy. He's not my guy. Really, if I look at wrestling today, people are going to call me an old head, but my guy is really at the moment now, if you're going to go wrestling in general, Brock. I've always liked Brock. I love Goldberg.
Jim Cornette, a lot of your opinions. That's what I get. I get British Cornette all the time.
You know what? I get British Cornette, but I'm a Vince Russo guy as well. I'm one of the few guys I like both.
No.
I know. He's the anomaly. He's the anomaly. He's both.
I was thinking, he can do no wrong. He's the perfect wrestler. And then he says, no, guys. I'm like, no, bro.
You know, I actually did. I actually emailed Jim Cornette and said, listen, I'm actually a fan of you, but I'm a fan of Cornette. So I'm a fan of you, but also a fan of Russo. Nothing back.
I'm not surprised.
He did say, remember, he kept saying, there are no fans. Remember, he kept saying, there are no Russo and Cornette fans. I'm like, yeah, I am. But, okay.
I mean, the one thing it's hard, but I will try. Like, the one thing I will say for Russo is that he he modified the perspective of how we see sports entertainment a little bit in his writing, but he needed Vince McMahon as well to do that. It's kind of like the leash was on. We saw what he was capable of when he was completely unhinged in WCW, and that was pure fucking garbage.
See, but you know what? I will agree, but I'll contest it because, again, like all of us, I was watching WCW at the time. Yes, there was some garbage. I ain't gonna lie, there was some garbage in WCW, but there was some good stuff. He made Bret Hart a big deal again. Again, imagine Bret Hart, Montreal Screwjob went to WCW. They did nothing with him. He was a mid-card guy. Bret Hart, who's 5-time world champion, Canadian hero, he became nothing. He made him mean something.
He did, but then on the flip side, he also
decided
to go back to a screw job.
Wait. Don't let your facts get involved. We don't want facts in the way of this narrative.
Okay, fair enough. Well, again,
it's a fair point. I mean, he did make Bret Hart should be a focal point of WCW, which is I agree with. But like I say, he then goes off and let's start doing the Goldberg, Bret Hart screw job. So even if Bret hadn't got injured, you've kind of spoiled that whole thing that you've just done. It's like it was unnecessary. We didn't need it. We didn't need to go screw job in and just some convoluted. So he killed that off.
He made Scott Steiner a big deal. Like Scott Steiner was good, but he made him a bigger deal as well at the time.
Did he?
I think he did. I think he made him.
I think Scott Steiner's roids might have some of the that certainly helped.
Can we use the name Benoit on this or no?
Yeah, sure, man. I don't give a fuck.
Me, like I said, I've always said, I like Chris Benoit, the wrestler. What he did as outside, no. But I think he gave Benoit more of a platform than he did before. Like he was there.
He was. Yeah, he was raising Benoit. Yeah. He was. I mean, and it felt like
Dean Malenko.
I will say Jeff Jarrett. He made Jeff Jarrett.
He definitely. Yeah,
I love Jeff.
Jeff Jarrett for me is one of the most underrated all-time champions. Like he's just
my guy.
You're back on the same page again.
Oh yeah, you're my guy now.
I didn't take very long. But that's now. See, that's what Gabe does, though. I imagine. Like I've only met him the once, and now I'm already thinking, yeah, I'm sensing what happens here. He manages to bring you round. He's very clever. He's manipulated the situation. Now I'm sitting there thinking, to be fair, Russo did make just. Oh, what was Russo good? Wait a minute, what's going on here?
He's made a believer.
No, don't tell Jim that. I'll be in trouble.
But also, even moving WWE aside, in TNA, I know people are going to say, "Oh, yeah, TNA is what it was." The original TNA, they were actually pretty good.
Yeah,
they were good. Like even look, I'm a big AJ Styles fan. Anton will tell you, I'm a big AJ Styles fan. But he tried with AJ Styles. He tried to get him a bit more serious. He tried to get him talking a bit more for promos and things like that. Okay, he was terrible in the beginning, but as usual, you get better as you go along. Okay, he put him with Ric Flair, not so great. But again, he being
that was Flair, the Bishop. Wasn't that the Bischoff Hogan?
That was Bischoff Hogan, but Vince
Russo's idea.
No, it was Bischoff's Hogan. But
you could have got him off the hook for that one if you could have.
What I was going to say is that it was Bischoff and Hogan that put him with Ric Flair. However, it was Bischoff and Vince Russo say, listen, Ric Flair will teach you how to talk. He will teach you to have more of a presence. Yes, I am AJ Styles, phenomenal, but he will get you basically to expand, get yourself out of this bubble. And he did. So that's why I'm giving Vince Russo credit for that.
We did get the Jay Lethal promo, to be fair, which was like one of the greatest things of all time. Like I still pop my nuts off for that. Jay Lethal and Ric Flair. Like that's enough for me. Like, although I still always remember in the background, Nigel McGuinness, one of my all-time great heroes, the guy I wanted to be when I started wrestling. And he's just there as some
Desmond Wolfe.
Like just tragic.
Okay.
Man. I was like, what have you done?
Russo's good in that part, I admit. He's good in that part.
I'm not happy that you ruined one of Britain's greatest evers. Like, that's not good to me. Trying to shift away from Vince Russo and the gang. We'll come back to it. You guys can come on weekly. I don't give a fuck. So tag team wise, what would you say is the biggest inspiration for how you guys like to work? Do you have an inspiration, or has it always been about, no, fuck that, we're the business, we'll do our thing? Or is there elements of other tag teams that you've taken?
You go first.
Yeah.
Actually, you go first. You go first.
So we're out of sync now. Our synergy's off.
Yep.
I don't think we ever really sat down and said, like, we want to, like, there'd be certain moves that we'd think, because I don't think any of our moves, like, outright, we said, right, we're going to use that tag team move. Like, we do a backbreaker elbow, which you kind of say is like demolition, but then it's like Gabe will do the back, like whip him off, backbreaker, and I'd run off the ropes and elbow. So there's a variation there. I wouldn't really say that we said, right, we're going to imitate those, but I think we're more one of those teams that there is a bit like, we're not two identical guys teaming up, because obviously Gabe's going to be the power guy and I'm going to be more, but then he's not just a power guy. Like, he's fast and he's technical, but then I'll bring to the table like a bit more. I'll be more of the guy that's like sneaky, that will do like I'll pull the leg and stuff. Like, if we're heels, if we're faces, I'm the guy that's getting beaten up and then he's the hero. So yeah, we're kind of like, I'd say we're like the Heart Foundation, that kind of tag team where it was like, the bigger guy and the smaller guy, like Brett used to say, the Porsche and the tank. That was their kind of thing. So yeah, from my perspective, I don't think we really outright said like we're going to emulate a certain team, but if you was to say, we'd lean more towards that kind of team, like the Heart Foundation, where you got a bit of a differential in style, but we do, we use our teamwork as well.
I think for me, like you said, it's not so much that we copy the tag team, because no, I think we're kind of like variations of different teams.
Yeah,
but it's different teams, but also it's wrestlers too. Because like for me, I'm a big Sid Vicious fan, big Scott Steiner fan. So I try to incorporate a little bit of what they do, like just little bits, and bring it to the tag team. Again, with the glasses, obviously the glasses more from Brett. The jacket, people can say it's more from Brett, but me personally, I just wanted the waistcoat.
Yeah, well, as a singles, you did. As a singles, like he would wear like the Sid style, the Stone Cold sort of like waistcoat. Yeah. As a tag team, it was the bomber, but solo.
But I think, like you said, it was more just a variation of, okay, yes, we're a big fan of the Heart Foundation and everything, but also we kind of want our own kind of style to it. But the one thing I'll say to Anton is that, look, if we're heels, we're going to be the nastiest, baddest, meanest heels that's out there in terms of, yes, obviously, I'm not someone, like me personally, I'm not someone who swears and stuff like that, but I will push the edge on certain things. So I know how far to get before it's like, okay, you're going to get cancelled. To me, in a way, it's kind of visceral in that sense. I want to go just so far to the point of, okay, I'm going to cancel you, okay, and bring it back a bit. That's me. And same thing as a good guys. Yes, we're good guys and everything, but we're not out there clapping and kissing babies and everything. So no, we're hard.
We're out there fist bumping if we're we're fist bump.
So yeah, that's us really.
Yeah, and I think it's that sort of that team where, you know, like the old school, if we're more so as a heel, because you wrestle a different type of match as a heel, but in that thing where we will be like the tag team that take advantage of the, you know, of teamwork. And using like things to your advantage, that kind of like the cutting off the ring, that kind of, it's like the Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard type model, like where it's like whereas we do that spot like where I'll snap mare somebody, and then Gabe would do like the next snap flip over. But it's like we're keeping them when we tag the next one in, you're keeping like them and hold like to the point you're holding their head, and it's like you're just gearing them over your side of the ring. So we kind of, like a traditional tag team. We're not two singles guys teaming up when we do the business. We got our elements in there, but we dress like a team and we wrestle like a team. And that's what we really went for, to like actually feel like we are a unit.
How's the It's an interesting question. Feel free to let me know if I'm slightly out of bounds with it, but I'm interested by the racial dynamic. You know, it's a black man and it's a white man, and there's not much of that in English wrestling. And I know Gabe's looking at me like, careful.
Oh, no.
But it's that thing of for instance, I'm mixed race, so I'm very keen to sort of learn about different cultures and things like that anyway. But in wrestling, I feel like there isn't much of an interracial component in wrestling anymore. Like, especially not in this country. And obviously the most famous one's probably the Dudley Boys, especially as a tag team. So, which I'm sure you've probably heard that at some point. With some fucking wise ass running around in a but it's that thing of, is there ever been like kind of like an energy or a component there, or is it just being like, that's just is what it is, that's just color, so that doesn't mean anything?
I think for me, from my side, I'm someone who's open again in terms of, I like all cultures. And Anton will tell you, I love all cultures, food, languages, people. Those things don't really kind of bother me. But I think I personally didn't want to be typecast to say, okay, well, you're big, you're black, you're broad, but also we're saying the Devon thing. That's the first thing I thought of. I thought, I'm not going to be another Devon Dudley. I say that, but then when I'm selling, sometimes I do the Devon shake once in a while.
I have seen you do it. I've recorded it myself. Careful now.
I do it sometimes, but I think in terms of as a tag team, like I said, usually it's either two black guys or two white guys. Very, very rare you get like one black, the black guy, white guy, or vice versa. And I think from my side, I kind of want it to be a lot more. Because the thing is, I think especially, again, I have to go by Britain. Britain is multicultural, and it's not like the 60s where you had black people on one side, you had Asian people on one side, Latin people, just European. No, we're all intermingling. Again, I go from this. I think the last time I remember looking from the census, I think they said the number one dish in the country is curry. Then it's a kebab. Not being rude, but there's nothing English or British about that at all. So
shit, isn't it?
So
I was brought up in a Muslim family, so don't talk to me about English food, man.
Would you like baklava and things like that, or?
To a certain degree, again, it's the culture thing. So my family's Egyptian, right? So it's Egyptian on that side, and then the white side of the family is actually Australian. So you've got like this hilarious mix of like ferocious sledging and barbecue, and then on the other side, like extreme fasting and spices and red. Both have red hot heat. And it's fun. It is fun. I'll say that. But I love a lot of different Egyptian foods. Obviously, baklava is like it's very rich. I mean, I can't enjoy it as much as I could when I was like 20. But
yeah. What about you, Anton? Any thought on that?
You're Maltese, right? You've got Maltese background.
Yeah. So I mean, there's quite a hodgepodge. Like on my dad's side of the family, I think typically like on my mum's side of the family, it's mostly like white English. But on my dad's side of the family, there's quite a bit of a mixture. There's like some going back different generations. There's like on some sides there's a bit of like Romany Gypsy, there's like a bit of Irish, and then there's also some like Cameroon as well. Like and then the strong one is like the Maltese, which goes back to like maybe my great grandmother that actually came over from Malta. So there's a little bit of it's quite distant in there, but it does come out sort of like features. I do have sort of like obviously darker hair, darker skin. There's a little bit of that sort of like followed through. But I think from that perspective, similar to how Gabe says, like I don't think we ever really want to make it like okay, I think sometimes it helps if you don't make a big thing of it. I think we're happy that it shows that there is no, because it's not something you want to say, oh look, white people and black people together. It's like that should be normal. That should be a normal thing. So it's like we don't have to think, oh, that's different. Like it is, but you want to get to that point. So it's like never really made a big thing about it, like market ourselves as a white/black tag team. It's like, and the fact is that you would have people just like us for us. In that sense. And it's like, and you do, it's as I said, it's really, it shouldn't feel like, okay, we have to have a certain quota of like black people on the show or whatever. It's like wrestlers, it should just be, if it's a wrestling show, you have wrestlers, doesn't matter what their background is, or like we just bring them together. It shouldn't be like, okay, we got too many black people on the show already, we've already done our token. Do you know what I mean? Like that should never be a thing. And I don't think it is. It's definitely like, if you look at American wrestling now, WWE, it's like that has changed now. There's less of like, okay, the first black world champion, because quite a lot of them, a lot of the title reigns now, like I've been even like current ones like Bianca Belair on the female side. It's like, it's just the thing now. It's not like, okay, he was the first black champion, he was the second. It's like there's a lot of black wrestlers that have been world champions now, and I think that's what it should be. So I'm of that sort of belief, like whatever, but we don't make a big thing about it, because we don't feel like it should be seen as like a big thing in a way. It should get to the point where it's normalized, and so I'm glad that it's not it's not a rare thing. But more of that, like as Gabe said, it should be if two black people team up, two white people, it's not, oh, that's a great black tag team. It's like, it's a tag team, it's a great tag team. That's all it needs to be.
What do you think about something like Everything Patterned, where it's like exclusively for people of color?
Again, I think at some point you want to get to the point where that's not necessary. It's like, because I think it's a thing that brings to the forefront, like, okay, we need to point out that there's a lot of like black wrestlers or like non-white wrestlers out there. But I don't feel like, oh, let's now have that show, and we have, do you know what I mean? It's like that, because I do feel sometimes that can build a divide. I see the point of it, but I think the divide comes when it's like, okay, but we're going to segregate, like we're going to bring, same with like where the argument, like we say like Black Lives Matter, and then some people saying all lives matter. It's like, but they're saying, you can see why you start to rub people up the wrong way on both sides, because then people saying, but all lives matter. And you say, but we're making a point about this at the moment. And they're thinking, but then you're saying our lives don't matter. And everybody's sort of looking at and then you cause more friction.
Everyone's getting extremely sensitive at the wrong.
Exactly. When it's like, it should be a case of like, the issue there is like, yes, all lives do matter. And like policing should be fair, should be just. But at the moment, it's looked at as, that's the argument for the Black Lives Matter, is that it's more proportionately an issue with that side of it. So we're going to focus on that right now. But you don't want to constantly focus on that. No. And I think it is better if you can just come together and everybody sort of comes together with the same point. Like, okay, there's an issue. There's an issue that like feels like people don't necessarily give we're using that example, like a black wrestler, the opportunity. So that needs to be addressed, and that should be fixed. And now everybody gets, same as any job, not just in wrestling, like in a job. You shouldn't be employed because you're black or you're white or you're Asian or whatever your ethnicity. You should be employed because you've applied for this job. You've sold yourself as the person for that job. You shouldn't be as a hiring manager saying, okay, I'm gonna employ that person because he's white. Like, I'd rather have a white person in the job or black person in the job. It shouldn't be, and we should get to that point where it's like, you're just judged on who you are. And as you say, like, speak for yourself, speaking for me, like, we're all, most of us are going to be, we're going to have a mixture. And it's like, so what, why the label? Why do we have to say like, oh, this is what I am? But it's like, we're humans at the end of the day. Like, we've all got like, and the world's just there's going to be very few people you could link back and say that's exactly where they came from.
True.
And at the end of the day, like, do we need that? Do we need to like sort of categorize it? I don't think we do.
I think what Anton was saying is correct because, like for me, it's not a sore subject at all. Again, I talk about anything, but I always go back to the start and say, why is it a big deal anymore? Again, in 2013 there, in 2023, these things should be non-existent. We know it's not. We know it's not. We know it. And look, even me, being, again, obviously I'm predominantly African, but my father's from Guyana, and Guyana's in South America. I think it's about 6 or 7 generations in Guyana, and obviously from there, slave from Africa. But it's like, what's what I say now? Yeah, sorry. The point is, it's like, well, these things don't matter. It's not to say it's not important, but it's like, okay, acknowledge it, but how do you work together to go forward?
Yeah. Again, I mean, your end goal shouldn't be like, let's keep this as it is. Like, the end goal should be break that down and that's done. So, sometimes I do feel like, you do need that in place, but there's a goal, is what you're,
Like for me, I always joke to people and say, what's the Queen? Well, not the Queen, King Charles now. He's German. But we're in England. The country's England, but yet, you have a German in the throne. Well, he goes back, he's German, he's French. Obviously, William the Conqueror was French, but really, was he really French? No. He's from Denmark. They were Vikings, isn't it? England itself as a country, and it's crazy because it's like, again, I know people are going to say, oh, Gabe's boring me, but I'll keep it very brief. Theoretically, because I'm a journalist, but also I work in the Home Office, the term English people doesn't exist. It's actually Saxons, Saxon people. It's just a thing as English people. The country is England, yes, but keep it brief. I can go on, but I know some people are like, oh, it's politics. I don't care.
Yeah, we all know that literally Egypt invented the world, so you can all kiss my ass.
That's true. That's true.
You're welcome. I'd like to see you lot build pyramids. Thank you very much. Enjoy your Stonehenge.
Science, maths. My gosh.
It's really funny, actually. I didn't realize that until I got older. And I was like, holy shit, Egypt's had a really big say on culture, hasn't it? Fuck, man. But, Cleopatra was black and all that, so, we crack on.
Crack.
Starting on that nonsense. Unbelievable, Jeff. So I thank you for the politics hour with the business. We shall now move back to wrestling, ladies and gentlemen. They'll be back on soon, don't you worry. So as far as like the actual wrestling dynamics, you said as a tag team, you want to kind of, there's nods to other people's identities, but ultimately it's your identity and what you want to be and what the business wants to be. What's going to happen going forward? Because you haven't been wrestling that much as a tag team recently, have you? And that is disgraceful. This scene needs it. They need the business.
I will start this first. People, again, we've done our podcast and I'll say right now, I have ulcerative colitis, so it's basically a bowel condition. So that's the reason why I haven't been wrestling as much now. Thankfully, the condition is very, very mild. And essentially now I'm able to train a lot more. I'm able to do a lot more now. So this year, even next year going forward, we will be back a lot more. I'm training, 4 times a week. Anton, he's doing a lot of training as well. He's doing his cardio. We'll get ourselves there. So if there's any reason, it's because of me. And believe me, I've had this condition since 2012, Anton.
Yeah.
So I've been wrestling for years with this stuff. Years. And that's why I think for a while, it's like, not so much like start, but for a long period, basically, I needed to get treatment. And my thing is that I don't want to stop because I know if I stop, it gets hard to get back into it. People forget you haven't been seen for a long time. The training, as you all know, if you don't train for a long time, when you get back into training, it's difficult, very difficult. So at that point now, I'm at that stage basically, it's difficult, but it's like now becoming a lot easier. So yeah. It's my fault. It's Anton's fault. I'll take the blame. It's my fault.
Anton's gonna clip that, and just in case you start,
just clap.
Just so you know, you admitted just one. Mr. Russo. Beautiful stuff. What's the do you have it's such a cliche question. Do you have dreams as a tag team or something you'd like to achieve that maybe you haven't yet?
I think in a way we've kind of, obviously we, I don't think we got the perspective. Like, we don't expect to go like we're gonna hit WWE. And probably like, yeah, I'll be honest. I know. So there's that 10 years difference between us as well. Like in terms of like I don't see myself wrestling for the next 10 years. Certainly not at like a high, like that high level. So I think from that perspective, putting it into perspective, like I'm going to be 43 this year, so it's not something that I could, WWE wouldn't take us based on me anyway. I think from that perspective, so that's not out there. But there's stuff like we want to still wrestle. I retired. So I'll do the quotations because, as they say, wrestlers don't really retire.
My ass.
But I did actually stop in 2014, and I didn't wrestle like for the rest of I stopped in 2014, and I focused on promotion, and I felt like that's kind of like that's where I'm gonna sit, and like I might do the odd, but I might never wrestle again. And then I did do like a one-off match in 2017. And then I did another one the same year, but then it's like, no, I'm done. Like I'm still, like I'm not back. I just did 2 one-off matches, and then 2018 went by, and then we decided like we're gonna give it another. Like I want to come back because I really felt like when we did the business the first time around, it's like I feel like it got a little bit cut short because of like Gabe's help and me as well, because I decided to stop as well at that time. And I think partly because Gabe was having like, Gabe had to get on top of his health. And that that took a lot out of me because I felt, like I fit him, like Gabe not being able to do it. Like there's part of me, like I was loving doing the tag team stuff with him. And, in different promotions, we'd split and we were feuding with each other, but we would still like, while we're wrestling against each other in one promotion, we're off at another promotion still as a tag team. So it's like, we were still a tag team the whole time. But once that's done, I'm starting to feel like, okay, I'm not at the point where I, like where I was, and I needed to just stop because I felt like if you're not able to give it, like I didn't want to just do it. Like I feel like I don't feel in shape. I feel like I'm not really able to, like, you holding back because you can't go to that extent. And, stuff was taking over like in my life, and things like that. I had my daughter was like very young, so I just felt like I want to focus on this promotion that I'd started up again. So it's like that's where my focus went. But I really felt like there was a lot of stuff left on the table. Like I wanted to have that with Gabe because we done it, but it's like also the scene wasn't always as big as it. Like there was promotions out there. You had the FWA, you had like, but it was still like we're talking like 2010, 2011, 2012. Like unless you were in, even some of those weren't doing huge. So it's like so much was sort of left. We were doing it on the small scale. We loved it. But it's like I felt like we could come back and do something. And there was stuff like, that year we came back in 2019. It was still for my promotion. So we wrestled as a team there as a storyline, which was the reason I came out of retirement, because of the issues that were happening in my promotions. Like, okay, I'm going to hand over the reins of the promotion within storyline and get back it and reform the business with Gabe. So we're going to kind of police the promotion. And then we would obviously wrestle elsewhere as well. But we went to Austria that year. And we won like the Austrian Tag Team Championships is what they're billed as. So it's like that was something that was a bucket list thing to say, like, we'd had tag team belts in different promotions, but it's like that's another tag team belt for us to say, like, a promotion gave us the Tag Team Championships, and it was in Austria. So it's like we traveled there and we went back there last year as well. So it's that, and we're gonna we will be back again. So it's like that is one of our places we loved. And when you say about like he wants to really like get under people's skin. That isn't like that's an adult audience. So you can be a bit more in your face, and they like me. We're out there like brawling amongst the actual crowd, and he's on the microphone, and we're just really like he's ripping into like, Austria and just really trying to get.
What are you attacking in Austria exactly? I'm curious because there's a very famous man from Austria, and I'm very, very skeptical about what you might have to say over there.
What did I talk about? I think I talk about Arnold Schwarzenegger, that he's no longer their guy. I talk about what's it called? He was occupied by the Germans. Your food's no good. Your women's awful.
That was one, was it? Okay, Germany. Okay, Germany. He kept calling them Germany. That was a bit of a.
You are Germany's bitch, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. That's literally it.
That is fucking phenomenal. That would have been the perfect time for Gunther to roll out, wouldn't it? Like, an amazing collision. These two beasts, these behemoths going after each other. Would have been amazing.
I actually want to add to what Anton said. I think Anton knows, again, obviously I'm a bit younger than Anton, but for me, I think I always said to Anton, yes, I want to wrestle here, but also I want to do more like European stuff as well. Even now, again, like I said, my health's a lot better now. That thing, and I'm really getting the training, and again, we still have the contacts and everything that's out there. I said, I want to do more European dates, if you know what I mean. And said, again, WB is always a dream sort of thing, but you know what I mean. You got to work your way up, sort of thing. If it never happens, fine. But my thing is, okay, how big, how high can we go? You can do Europe. Yes, there's possibly Japan. Again, is your country Australia? Even though the quarantine will be not quarantine, the flight will be ridiculous to get there. But you know, Australia, possibly Mexico, you know, there's all these places to go to. And I'm thinking, well, you know what? If those things are possible, which they are, why not aim for it? If we can at least tick things as we go along, fine. Because Anton knows me. Anybody knows me. I hate limiting myself.
Yeah.
I have that for life in general, whether it's work, training, relationships, whatever it is. I don't like to limit myself. I think keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Like I said, unless, again, and I will say it, my body basically broke down as to why I had to stop for a little while. Literally, Anton, my body physically broke down to the point where it's okay. If I wanted to, I can't.
Yeah.
So that's me. I'll keep going no matter what. And it's like, okay, yes, I'm getting older. Yes, Anton's getting older. Okay, yes, you know, my health might not be 100%, but you know what? My health's getting back to 85%, 90%. Again, we understand psychology. Yes, we could do moves, but again, psychology, story, put in with those moves, put in with the moves, 5, 10 moves, possibly. Boom, we're different. The one thing I've always said, and I said, Anton, I want us to be different. I don't want to be like nobody else. I said, if you're different, you sell. If you're different, people are like, oh, who's that? People are gonna take notes of you. And then from there, it's on you to sell them and bring them back next time. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the point. I mean, I that's what I was saying. Like for me, like obviously the reality is like as a tag team, we're not going to go to WWE because they wouldn't pick me up at this point. But you know, who knows where Gabe would go as a singles at some point. But there's still stuff we want to do as a tag team. We still want to have that, you know, like, and it's, if anything, it's just about like having those good experiences, like having those. And going sort of to Austria, or if we go elsewhere internationally, that's part of it, because it's going to be like the travel that's involved in that, as well as the actual experience of wrestling overseas. But just, I think we should still feel like want to have that good times, you know, and want them to carry on. And we want to get out there because we love, I feel more. That's why, you know, like I've been doing more refereeing now, a lot more refereeing, and I actually enjoy that. And I think from a wrestling perspective, when I'm going to wrestle, I'd rather wrestle with as the business. I still want to do like tag team matches as the business. I'm not really so fussed about wrestling if it's not as part of the business. I'd rather just focus on the refereeing because I enjoy doing that, and I feel that's where I'm going. So like Gabe could carry on doing singles without me. I feel like singles I'm kind of done with singles. Like I'm happy to do the business. I do them. I've done a couple of this like recently as well, like a couple of this year, but that's not where like I don't have the passion like, oh, I really want to take my singles career as well, keep that going. But I do have a passion for like us as the business still, that I want to do that, and I enjoy that. That's something I actually enjoy. I enjoy the refereeing, and I enjoy being in the ring as part of the business, doing that tag team.
Fair, absolutely fair. Is there anything in particular before we get to our special word association round, which always tends to cause a load of heat with people? I have no idea why, but it does. Is there anything in particular you guys want to chat about? Like me personally, like I'm always shooting ideas out, but I mean, you guys obviously have your own podcast. You want to plug that quickly? Because that sounds very exciting to me, especially judging from Gabe's hot takes.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. If you've enjoyed Gabe's rants on this one, that you get a weekly dose of that, because I don't think there's ever a time where Gabe just. He'll often start the podcast off with say what we're going to talk about, and he go just before he brings it up. So it might be an AEW event or something. To go. So you know it's going to be going to be good. He's ready to go. He's like, so today we're going to talk about AEW. It's like deep breath. There's like so
prepare yourself.
Yeah, there's lots of rants from Gabe. I do feel like I try to be like the balance. I try, even if it's something I don't particularly like, I try and think of why I don't like it and like say maybe it's on me. It's not necessarily that thing's bad. It's just my personal viewpoint on it. Gabe is just got he goes one way. It's like boom, no, I won't be back. And I try to reason with him.
But to be fair, one thing I will say though, maybe 90% of the time I am like that. But there is a 10% where I'm like, you know what? Okay, I don't like something, but I can't knock it. For example, like MJF. I can say with MJF.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of AEW, but I can't knock him. I can't knock him that he's different. Yeah. He's really good on the mic. He's work. He can do that young buck style, but also he can slow it down and tell a story. Like the match with Daniel Bryan.
Yeah. Yeah,
so,
and it's not like I'm not saying he doesn't ever have a good thing to say about anything. I'm not saying that. I'm saying like but he's passionate about the things he don't like, and he will get on a rant. He will go on a tirade about it.
Yeah.
But also,
my other co-host and have Gabe instead.
I think what I also do as well is that for me personally, I think life is about enjoyment. Yes, and I know people are going to say it's so philosophical, but there's so much hardship in this life. Why focus on it? Focus on the good, and all you can do is what you can do. So at the end of every podcast, mostly, I always do like a party show, and I'll basically talk about whether it's relationships, whether I talk about it's politics, whether it's finance, and I will say, listen, there's always a bright side to whatever you think it is. So I always try to put that dynamic in the end as well.
Yeah, and it can go a little deep sometimes on that. It's like is a very sort of inflective sort of process he goes through. But yeah, let's talk business. So we talk the business as in wrestling business, but yeah, we do sort of go off on we might have sometimes we do our predictions every time there's an event coming up, and usually we in the past there was it last year his bet was that if
you do forfeits as well, do you?
We did. We don't tend to, although we have talked about doing that as a regular thing. I mean, there's been the odd forfeit. I was going to have to shave my hair if Austin Theory, this is Gabe who put it, then I don't know why I accepted, but if Austin Theory hadn't managed to cash in the Money in the Bank on the world title at WrestleMania at some point this year, I would have had to shave my head. But
well, again, Vince was stupid and did what he did. Now I lost out.
Yeah, but yeah, we have fun on there. We do have some serious talks about wrestling. We have serious issues. Sometimes Gabe will talk about in the pint shop. But it's really just it's a mixture that if we haven't got a pay-per-view, it's just a random what's going on in wrestling, and you'll often find we just go off on a tangent. Probably a bit like we did today with some of these topics. You'll start talking about something else. Somebody else's name gets mentioned, and boom, we're off there talking about him, and then we steer it back to whatever we were talking about before.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I think it is really like probably the same for you. It's almost like a therapy, like to just talk about your wrestling. Yeah, like and it's something fun because there's so much. Obviously, we'll talk about stuff that gets on our nerves with wrestling or we just didn't enjoy, but we're having fun, and I think and you're making wrestling, like fun again. You're talking about the silly things there, or like what was really good about it, or what. Especially when we go back, like if we talk about like stuff that we've watched as actual when we were just fans, I think that's the thing. It's like the way it made you feel like, and I think we forget that sometimes, like how we felt as actual fan. We're not just pure fans anymore because we know what's going on. We're involved in it. We've done it ourselves, and sometimes we have to almost like put ourselves back in those shoes to really and appreciate. Wrestling is good. There's so much good out there that we just sometimes have to like we just that was rubbish. But like if you really think about it, we are spoiled with what we got nowadays. And I think like you're always going to find something good every week. There's going to be at least one match that was like really good, or one promo or whatever. It's like you could say, I enjoyed that. I got a good I viewed that for half an hour at least. And if you don't enjoy it, just skip it. That's what I do. I just fast forward. If I'm not into it, I'll move on.
Yeah, it's a bit hard to skip it if you're actually at the show recording it.
Well, that's different, yeah. But you can always just say, go home, guys.
Yeah, I'm just, there are times when I'm like, oh, man. Come on. Fuck's sake. I won't name names, but yeah, I have recorded some stinkers from time to time. And also fucking work some as well. Like my matches are fucking, they're up for speculation as well. Yeah, check out the podcast. We'll put links in the description for you because it's
thank you.
Really fucking cool. I love it. And that's why you're on here.
And that's why you're coming on. That's why you'll be on ours.
Oh, indeed.
One day, yeah, when you can pull your thumb out. Yeah. I know. That's how he was very quick to be like, oh, yeah, we'll definitely do yours first. Yeah. Yeah, don't worry about getting that fucking Arab cunt on here. Don't worry about that shit. It's 80 plus. Say whatever you like. Right. We always finish with word association. So I have a list of names. I've asked loads of guys that we know and people that we know from Rumble and stuff like that. And obviously, Wrestle Plug, we're very lucky. We've got about 25, 30 guys in the group chat, guys and girls. And I said, right, throw names at us that you think might elicit a response. So each of you will have one word to describe the name that is mentioned from this list. I won't read all of them because we've got about 120 and we'll be here for fucking ever. No passing, by the way.
Come on.
No.
Thank you. Thank you.
Like,
Anton would pass on everything. You'd pass on everything. I know.
As I always say, if you want to sit on the fence, go and sit on Groot's cock. Now then, that's a reference for Marvel fans. I have no idea why, but it is what it is. Right, we'll start with something nice and easy. Adam Muscles Mansfield. Just one
first.
word.
McDonald's.
McDonald's. Oh, I must delve into that.
Hammerlock. I'll go Hammerlock.
Hammerlock's a good. Yeah, I understand Hammerlock because he's an original, isn't he? Is that where you met Mansfield? Did you meet him?
Yeah. He was one of the early wrestlers that were actually on
Does
the
he
cards
always
when I went.
About 90 years old.
No.
Not quite 90. No. He was.
I must admit, like, obviously he's not that old, but I must admit, when I met him at Rumble a couple of years ago, I was like, he's like in his 50s or nearly 60, right?
Thing is, I mean, when he was first wrestling, he was so skinny, and that's where the name came from. Obviously, now he does it, like he comes out there, and it's gone the other way where people think, you're not. Yeah, I mean, he's never been like the muscles is an ironic tag, and originally I think they gave him that label based on like him being so skinny, and yeah, that was his original sort of Muscles Mansfield. He was one of the early like workers when I first started training at Hammerlock. He was already on the cards.
Fair. What about yourself, Gabe? You said McDonald's. What? Why McDonald's? Is he quite a big fan, or?
Basically, he would go to the show. He'd have a great performance. He's doing, Muscle Man and everything. And after every show, he would always go and get those Big Macs, large fries, large milkshake. I'm like, bro, he just had a show. He's like, yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm going to get it. I said, every show. He says, every show I go to, McDonald's. And also, I want to be different from just having a look at everything else. Just try to be different. So
I dragged into Morley's after Coliseum last month.
Oh.
No, not a fan.
Oh, chicken sticks. Oh.
Yeah. Well, just don't like chicken. Don't like chicken in general, or just Morley's? We're talking.
No. I do like chicken and chips, but the thing is, years ago there was I'm based in London, Dulwich. So years ago there used to be like the classic Morley's in Brixton.
Yeah.
And every time you go there,
oh right, yeah.
Oh, just stunts.
Like grease and fat in here.
Yeah. But no, Morley's is okay, but just that one. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Just that one.
It was the Norwood Junction one, if that helps. So it is what it is. All right, so Adam Mansfield has been sufficiently thrown under the bus. Who's next to suffer at the hands of the business? We shall start with Tate Mayfairs.
I'll go for woohoo.
Me, I'll go unique. Unique's
a good word. I like that. Yeah, I do like that. That's good. He was on this podcast actually. His he neglected to take part in the one word association. And with very good reason when he has as many opportunities as he does. I understand that. I'm not sure. Some of these, I'm not sure how familiar are you with the current Rumble product, Gabe?
I'm familiar. To be honest, I think I don't know. If you throw me some names, I probably would know. But
obviously,
I know
he watches it every week because I'm the one editing it, doesn't he? Because he's the man. Of course you are. You definitely watched the last show at Din. Definitely.
I will admit, I don't lie. From last year, I know the wrestler from last year. This year, not so much. Cool. So yeah.
All right, we'll try and stick with predominantly last year then, because I think the problem is obviously a lot of the guys know me because I work so regularly at Rumble. So I think a lot of these might be livid at you, Anton, because obviously you've refereed dominantly most of these guys over the last sort of year. Also, by the way, just as a very quick aside, had a lot of guys reference the fact you were an excellent referee.
Hey.
Which was quite cool.
Thank you.
which he really is. He's really fucking good at refereeing. And I maintain that good referees are good workers in general. Like a good wrestler should be able to referee because they understand it better. That's just my personal opinion. Right, okay. So we've got Scott Jones here.
I don't think Gabe. I mean, I think he's been on maybe just one of the shows that I was on for Rumble.
Yeah, Scottish lad.
Yeah.
Because he's a friend of the podcast. He's a lot of the guys because most of the guys who work with the podcast wrestle themselves.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of them have worked with Scott as well.
Yeah. So I don't think you've been on the same bill as him just yet, Gabe. But yeah, I'd say prospect.
It's a good shout.
Yeah.
Sneaky old. He's in his 30s.
What's that?
He's sneaky old. Like, I thought he was like really young when I met him. He's not. He's like in his 30s.
Was it really?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. The other two, Brandon and Nathan, obviously spring chickens, as you can imagine. Chuck Mambo.
We worked in him and Sid last year for Rumble.
Oh yeah. Literally, once I got the face, I'm like, yeah, that's good.
That was the last time I remember seeing you two.
Yeah.
Together,
yeah. It was our last one at Rumble. Yeah. Oh, no, it wasn't. No,
no.
That was our first one at Rumble.
First one.
But we did. I think we did another one or two after that one.
I'll give Anton the first. I'll give Anton to start first this one.
I'll say splash. there was a killer splash he gave me at that finish. I was like, ooh. I was so glad it was the finish.
Was that quite stiff? Was it?
It
always looks great, and now I know why, because you just potatoes everywhere.
I might not have been praised for it. I don't know. I took it because I think at that point was it like I took a RKO, and then I followed out, boom, the big splash. But yeah, I was glad that was the fall.
Fair, absolutely fair.
I'm gonna go fully energized.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Like I've never heard a guy with more energy.
It was good fun to work. It was a lot of fun to work.
Very good.
One of the weirdest moments, like I remember at Riptide, and Volta was backstage with us, and he looked at Chuck Mambo, and he just looked at him and went, "You are very jacked." Like that was it. And then just walked off. I was like, "Thanks for that, random." But yeah, Chuck will tell you about that story till hell freezes over, bless him. Okay, let's go with Sid Manelli.
Ledge.
Window
ledge.
Yeah.
How do you know? What we doing?
That was Steve.
Every show.
You
Always winding me up. He's like, "Oh, fucking don't run out of camera battery." He's like, "It's not my fault if Joe Lando and Nino Bryant go 25 minutes, fam."
Yeah, I'd say ultra reliable. Like you can just rely on him to like give you a good match, a good reaction. It's like he's taught me. It's
so easy to work.
Yeah,
he's really good.
He's
really good.
You can just that's the thing. You can just like anybody can just. It's because of obviously the pedigree from like his dad and his grandfather, like that's and they work. They run the camp shows and stuff like that. There's something about that. Like he could just. And even you could have and I've seen him sometimes on with some really like inexperienced or ropey, workers. And it's like he can get the best out of that. Where some people he's like you can see it from inside the ring or whatever. When I've refereed it but he'll get by. He'll get you through it. It's like you can just click somebody like that into it's the same like with James Mason. Like he could just go on with anybody. Okay, you're not going to get a classic match out of somebody who's not up to much, but you'll get them, you'll get them through it, and you can just click on with anybody. And if you go on with somebody who knows what they're doing, boom, the match it's just there. It's like and I think it comes from the style because like with the camp shows, you have to be able to just you're doing several times. Sometimes they were doing several in the same day, but you're just going so frequently. It's like you can just snap into that style, and it's just there. You just know the movements are just there. It's just so consistent. And it's like he could do, and he does sometimes with Rumble promotions. Like there might be a week of shows. He's the guy that's there. He's the champion. It's like, and he's every single show. And it's like you could just rely. That match is always going to have crazy people going crazy for him. Match is a good match. So yeah, ultra reliable.
Yeah, I've not seen him have a bad match, to be fair, ever.
No.
I remember the very first time I went to a Rumble show wasn't as a worker, as a fan. I took like my ex, and my ex, little brother has special needs, and of course he loves it because it's very sensory. And I remember seeing Sid Manelli and thinking, Jesus Christ, fantastic. And then like you work with him like later on, and you realise that when you get on the other side of things, you see the perspective, you realise why he is so good at what he does, because you watch the inner workings of it. He's fucking phenomenal.
He is, and he's so good, like with them after the show as well. Like if you had the signing table and stuff like that, so he just that's the thing. He really sort of has that
for the business, isn't he?
Yeah, he is exactly. That's why
some guys are born solely to be wrestlers, and that's Sid. Like, obviously, like you say, the pedigree, the lineage of his family. That's interesting actually, because his dad's on the list, Steve Manelli.
When you next see him, tell him that I said, what we doing, and he'll know.
Steve or Sid? Okay, fair enough.
yeah. I mean, it's a classic. I'd say Steve's a classic, just in every sense. Like he is so much. I mean, if like on a personal level, like I feel like when I was, because he was doing the ring jobs for when I had my promotion, and I can't tell you some of the times that he got me out of like little holes and stuff like that. Because also at one point I owned a ring and had a van, but I couldn't drive the van at that point. I didn't have a driving license, and I was like I would have
not legally at least.
Yeah, so I would have other people that drive that van down.
Wrestling. You ain't getting that one past me. You ain't getting that one, but no way.
Hey, I got my license now, so if you see me in a car, like I'm all above board. But back in, we're talking like 2015, 2016. I wasn't driving yet. I started driving in 2017. Sorry, end of 2016. So
late starter for you, mate.
Yeah, it was late for me, but I mean that's the thing. So I had a van with a ring, but no driver, and I'd had someone was going to drive for me, but there was a flat tire. But I hadn't booked Steve for the ring job. Sometimes I did, but I was thinking the smaller shows, I'm going to use my own ring.
Yeah.
And I bought the ring off Steve. And he even said to me, like he's probably doing himself out of business here, like selling me this ring. And he helped me get the van. So it's like he really, came through, and he knew, obviously I'm going to be using that. So I'm not going to need his ring as much as I would before. But it's like he's not going to, he's going to help me along because he knows I need that. So I bought that from him. But so I haven't booked him. I'm going to use my own ring. But because there's something wrong with the van, I had to call him up, and he was on his way to a show. He wasn't doing a ring job, but he was going to wrestle on a show. So what he did is he drove his van with his ring to the venue, left it there for us to unpack and set up. Then it did his show, and he said come back late that night and he pick it up. So we pack it back up in the van, leave it there, and they'll come and get it. It's like, and that wasn't just a one-off.
Think of the trust involved in that in this business.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So he came through for me so much. So it's like I have so much respect for him. As he's a really good guy, a lot of fun to be around, but it's like I've got nothing but respect for him, like in every way.
Very knowledgeable, very open. There's many times I've seen him always, takes me aside, talk personally, but also talk about the business. Things you can do to make yourself a little bit better. Again, stand out. Very good guy.
Yeah, like, do you know what? I've had so many conversations with him, and he's very happy. He's sort of said to me like, "Come along, try out the camps and stuff, try yourself out, try and get better." And like a lot of guys wouldn't do that. They'd be like, "No, got my guys, fuck you." Like, he always has time, always. Yeah. And what I love about him is he works for places that people have blacklisted or something. Get the gimmicks right there. But it's that thing of coming soon. But it's that thing of like, he doesn't give a shit about that. He gives a shit about sensibility and how to conduct yourself, not other people's business for them. That's what I like about him. And I remember that from the get-go, he would always say to me, like, just because you don't like something doesn't mean it ain't making money. It's that sort of thing. He's very clever like that.
He's very honest. He's very straight. Yes, very
straight. I've never heard him bullshit or anything. And even now, he's still working, isn't he? You know, age and stuff. And he's on my bucket list of guys to work. Like, because I just think, for me, like, that's a big deal to work with someone of that mindset. Doesn't matter if he can't fucking do a 450 splash or whatever. I don't give a shit about that. But he can get more heat on me than fucking most of these guys can.
True.
So he's he's fucking phenomenal. So the Manelli family in general is just built into the lineage of what we do. I love stuff like that because that's what keeps they're the foundation of what we still love to do.
Yeah.
Without that, we lose our history a little bit, and I don't want that to be the case. So Sid can carry that on. I can imagine Sid in like 40 years' time with a fag on to go out the back of the van. It's going to be good. And I'm going to be whinging about how all these videographers are doing it in 3D, and I hate them for it. So you just know it's going to happen. All right, Kenny Omega is on the list for some reason. Here we go. I see it. You better have the answer I want. I swear to God.
Overrated.
Yeah.
And I've banged my table, people. He's over friggin' rated. He's overrated.
You are on Wrestle Plug every week.
I
want
don't
you to eviscerate all these idiots who come on my podcast.
I don't understand this. Oh, Kenny McFinger Bang, oh, One Wing Angel, and I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Anton knows already. I've watched him again. I never really saw him before. When I watched AEW, I thought, you know what? Let me actually give this guy a go. I said, this is it. I was like, nah, he's not funny. He ain't cool. He's never a cool guy. Okay, I know it's only one word, people, but I'm gonna keep this very simple. They've spent what 20 or 30 million dollars on this AEW game. Where is it? Where's this game?
Meanwhile, WWE every year just
yeah. And also, what makes him the genius on video games? What makes him the genius? All it's going to be
massive video game playing virgin. Don't get me wrong, I love my video games, but
same.
I've also got laid once in a blue moon. I don't just chase around little Japanese girls for the time of my life. So, allegedly.
Air quotes, does he even like women?
I mean, I don't give a shit what he does.
Neither do I.
For me, like he could be into having sex with a raccoon. I don't give a fuck. But when it comes to his actual wrestling, I just think, yo, why are you prancing around? And why have you got a sex phone operator's voice when you do promos? Like,
go on, Anton. Give us a political answer.
Go on, Anton.
I wouldn't be able to I wouldn't be able to follow any of that. I'll just say he's okay.
You see,
he's not one that sort of stands out for me. I don't have the intense passion of dislike. Passion of dislike as you two. So.
Running for an MP near you.
Trust me.
Yeah, he's such a politician.
I
don't have a strong feeling on him either way.
Do you know what? That was my selling point for you, because a few people that's like that, you know, because we're doing Wrestling Society soon, and Nadia said to me like, I need a referee, and I was like, you cannot go wrong with Anton. He's just so fucking lovely. He's just such a nice guy. So there you go. And you see it right there. He's very, very good at being a fucking politician. And politicians get gigs, man.
I have a question for you, Aaron. Just a very quick one.
Go for it, man.
Anton as a referee, if obviously we've had El Hebner, we've had Mike Kyoto, we have all these different kind of people. Who does Anton remind you of? Or is there somebody you can say he resembles in his style of refereeing?
Yeah, fucker. I'm trying to think of the guy from not Nick Patrick, the other guy from WCW. I'm trying to think of his name. It's gone right over my head.
Oh, Curtis. Oh, I know. You're going to say Pee Wee Anderson.
Yeah.
Big guy, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll grow the moustache. I'll shave the beard away.
Yeah.
For a second.
I like the mannerisms. I like this stuff. Do you know what though? Like, it's funny because obviously Steve Linsky trained me how to be a referee, so you'd think that would count for something. But at the same time, I'm also fucking 6'3", 6'4".
Yeah. You dwarf a lot of the guys.
Nobody's gonna let me referee. It's never gonna happen. I did it a few times. I did like the summer camps. And they had to come up with stupid little storylines where they were like trying to I was this giant, lummox that couldn't see and all this shit because it was just massive compared to everyone else. So, yeah.
A second, I thought you were going to say Earl. Because back in the day, Earl would get beaten up. And I know Anton, it's like his pride is like, nope, I can't let that happen. Like, Earl.
Hey, I take ref bumps if needed.
I have noticed you don't take ref bumps very often.
I do. I got laid out twice in the same
day.
when we had the match when the title got held up, I was knocked down twice in the same match.
That was quite fun. You're not as bad as a guy called Jay Wigmore, who referees down in Bournemouth. He was in the main event of the vaunted BCD show, which you probably know I've been doing. You've probably seen it on my socials. And he was down for 12 minutes during the main event. To the point where the people in the front row, who were Shakespearean actors who come to support their mate, who does Shakespeare as well, they were actually fucking prodding him and shit, going, it's a bit much now, mate. And they just fucking wrapped him off. Oh, fuck me. I tell you what, I do see a little bit of Earl Hebner about you in the way that you count, actually. You got that pretty kind of way of counting, yeah. That's fair. Do you sell gimmicks out the back of your car with your brother?
That'll be next.
I know way too much about the business.
I know.
Oh dear.
Don't tell Steve. Don't tell Steve. See me out there selling the merch.
Yeah. That is fucking brilliant. Just these business shirts being sold on the Dodge. Brilliant. I'll take 3 of them. Thanks. Yeah, we were doing word association. Now we got.
I apologize. I took your job. Back to you now.
No, as you should. As you should. You're good at it, mate. That's fine. There's plenty of room here. By the way, I want everyone to message in and make sure that the business come back on a more fortnightly basis because that would be a fucking riot.
I would love it personally. I'd love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, tell you what, it's always an open playing field. If you guys want to come on, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Literally every week, I'm more than happy for you to. Because to be fair, most of our co-hosts are melts, so you know.
Yeah.
And like also Adam. Shout out to Adam Wessex who loves AEW and thinks it. Now we're going to get really sidetracked. So, Gabe, you're obviously a professional wrestler, not some sweaty mark who sits in his basement and wanks off to Kenny Omega. So, what is your opinion? So, my friend Adam has this opinion of the only reason that WWE's women's division is as good as it is now, aka Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, and that, it's because the AEW women's division improved and pushed them to be better.
Honestly, from a character sense, both of them suck. Me personally, I think both of them suck. As in, I'm about believability. And I think the only person that I actually believe to a degree when I watch WWE in terms of the females is Bianca Belair. Becky Lynch, I don't buy that she's a badass. In real life, if I take the gimmick away from you, if I had a badass woman in front of me and say, you see that woman over there? Go to her. Should crumble. Asuka's a great wrestler, but nothing really there. Natalia, love Natalia, but get it, take your lips and go sit down.
That is the soundbite that I'm going to advertise this podcast.
AEW, you have is it Dr. Britt Baker?
Yeah.
Is that the one that keeps going on about what's her name? Oh, she just come back from injury.
Soraya?
No, Soraya.
Yeah.
The Latina chick who just come back from injury.
Thunder Rosa.
Is it again? Dr. Britt Baker, Soraya. Again, they're okay, but Paige there. Soraya, to me, from a standpoint from my family and everything, she should be much better than what she is. Yes, I know she has an injury. I know she's having to work around everything, but it's to be fair, it's a hard one because I'm trying to go through the list, but I feel like I'm going to keep bash, and who's actually good.
It's just for me, I don't think the AEW women's division has ever been good.
No, I think, and I think, again, I'm stumbling. I don't really stumble. Neither of them are that great. I think the WWE ones are better because obviously in terms of the work and everything, but I think it's more because of the presentation. It looks better because it looks better.
They have more.
You think, okay, it is better. Like AEW to me reminds me of WCW, but WCW like 2000. That's why I think of it. WCW.
When Vince Russo was in.
No. Basically, no. When Vince Russo left, when he unjustly got fired.
What, just for that? Unjustified. Get out of here. Nonsense, man.
When he unjustly got fired. Oh, Ed. Okay, Ed's no good. I don't like Ed. I'm not a fan of Ed. But the WCW basically from September to March 2001, that WCW. That's what it reminds me of in terms of the presentation. I don't know. It's just the women personally. I don't think they're that good because, like I said, I don't believe them. But they're all just like catty, whiny, just. To me, there's nothing of substance about them. Yes, you look good. Okay, fine. How much billions of women look good? But you have to have something about you. Again, Anton. He understands my plight, I call it, where I don't feel that the world should tell me I should like something. I do like women's wrestling, but I don't want to be forced to. If it's good, it's good. If it's not good, it's not good.
If it's
Becky
good,
Lynch,
it should just be wrestling, not women's wrestling. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
That's why I love Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair's match at WrestleMania, because it was just an amazing wrestling match. I didn't at any point think, God, they're so good for women.
Yeah. Now, personally, AEW women, I don't think they're good. For once, I have to give WWE the top dog, but just.
So yeah, basically, if my mate Adam Wessex is watching, you're full of shit.
Well, you tell him to take that crap and shove it in his mouth and go sit down.
There you go. I'm going to forward that immediately. All right, speaking of women, I've got Mia Cortez on the list.
Anton?
Yeah, I don't think you were on the same show. So I've refereed her match a couple of times.
Would I have seen her? Would I have seen her a couple of times too? Or?
She's been going for a while now.
Yeah, it's been going a long time. Yeah, I was quite
predominantly up in the Midlands. So
yeah.
What other name was she known as? I might know her from a previous name.
I think she's been Mia Cortez for.
I think she always has. I think she would have done. You know, at the time when we did
Autumn Rose as well. She does a little bit of Autumn Rose.
Yeah, we would have wrestled for P Staniforth, like in Luton. And do you remember there was a rivalry you always had with another group?
Yeah.
Up that well, like Milton Keynes way. I think she would wrestle for those guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, we never really, because I'm surprised she never I don't think she ever flitted over that side, but sometimes you get some come over there. But I never actually, I was talking to her the first time, like when I refereed the show, and she was talking about like the place, and I was thinking, I know a lot of the names of the people that she's actually, been around and the promotions and stuff, but we'd never actually been on the same show. So I don't think you would have either.
Well,
but
yeah, this one.
Yeah, I mean, she is a very good worker. Like I refereed her same match, 2 different shows with Dominita, but she was saying to me that because she's wrestling as a face, and she's got like the dragon stuff. So she was saying like she does that as a heel as well. But she's a really talented worker. I'd like to see more. Like it'd be nice to see her in a different match as well, because the match with Dominita is always going to be like Dominita's going to dominate. It's like she's the total underdog, just trying to bounce off.
The same match, isn't it? To a certain
You know Josie Copping.
Yeah.
So she's wrestled her like the 2 shows that I've refereed.
Okay.
But I'd say the buzzword to use for her, but she's she's a veteran, but without
title,
like a hidden veteran, a hidden gem.
I agree with that.
Hidden gem.
Yeah, I'd say that like she should be doing a lot more than she is. Like,
she's got sort of like break out there.
Unfair for her to say. Like I know that she dabbles in like custom wrestling and different stuff like that, so maybe she's happy doing that, and good for her, because ultimately there's probably a lot more money in that than there is in standard wrestling. I know that. Well, I know for a fact there fucking is. Let's not try to pretend like there is.
Yeah, there is.
There's a lot more when it comes to sin. There is. That's why Anton's doing it, man. Like, sorry. I mean,
Anton, you kept that quiet.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. That's why. Why do you think he hasn't got the energy to wrestle at Rumble anymore? Man's been making serious coin somewhere else. Malta my ass. Keep throwing you under the bus
on location.
By the way, while we were talking about that, I have a missed call from Frankie T, so I assume that is probably to unbook either me or you for our behaviour. I have no idea which one. I'm sure when I let him know, he'll fucking lose his shit. Okay. Well, Dominica was on the list. Do you know Dominica?
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen her work quite a bit. I think. Yeah, I was going to say captivating, but it might be a bit strong. See, in my mind, I'm thinking captivating. I think I do like the work. I do think she has something about her. For all the times I've seen her, I think.
Yeah, I always use the word power, like just raw power. Like, she is exactly what she presents herself at. You know, like some people come out and you just think, like you've been saying throughout this podcast, both of us have, like, some people, you just not like, I don't believe that you're a badass. I don't believe that you can kick ass. With Dominica, I genuinely believe she can beat the shit out of women if she wants to, and men.
She's like she plays the bully character really well. She comes out, she's a bully. Like,
it's the perfect, like, for me, it's like the way that Sid has become like the ultimate camp babyface, but could do that anywhere. I feel like Dominica has become the ultimate camp evil heel and could do that anywhere as well.
Yeah.
Without necessarily getting too, shall we say, smarky.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. So
would you say she's, because I remember at one point there was a guy called Valcavius that was supposed to go WWE, but maybe like 10 years ago or something. Would you say like she's the female version of him, or not really?
She does it more in like the classic type of Monster Hill. Like, whereas he was a beast, like, but he would throw you around and do the big sort of move. She's more is like that sort, like the in a style like a Vader or something like that. It's she's big, and she really just uses her size and menace when she's in there with them. So yeah, that's what I'd compare her sort of style to. I mean, she's Klondike Kate. She's this this time, Klondike Kate from the from the British wrestling circuit years before. She's like like a second coming of that.
Yeah, I almost feel like if she'd broken into British wrestling like 30 or 40 years ago, she would have been a mega star. Like the World of Sport era, like she would have just cleaned up. Because her old man was part of that, wasn't he? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, John.
He was like kind of.
He would have been around. Yeah, he would have been around.
He was more promotion based, though, wasn't he? Than wrestling based, or.
Yes, because I mean that's where I first met Josie and John, because he used to do ring hire for a promotion we used to wrestle for called R&V Wrestling. And he used to EWF was his promotion, English Wrestling Federation.
Yeah, I remember now. Yeah.
That he would come down like do the ring jobs there, and Josie came wrestling as Miss Flash, like on.
Oh yes, show. I remember now. Yeah.
Yeah. So different from her, she was a baby face at that time, so she wasn't the monster at that point. I might have one, so I'll have to have a look for it.
Yes.
I'll have a look.
Such a long time. Fair enough. All right, just two more left, and then we'll wrap it up, and I shall give you one very brief submission of honesty, because I need to let you guys know something weirdly at the end of this podcast. So, one for you, Gabe. Anton Green. One word to describe Anton Green.
Brother. A brother, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's the same.
Is that the same, yeah? Same.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I like that.
It's strange. Well, it's not strange. It's actually quite good. I think I've known many people in wrestling, but even though he wasn't there from the amateur days, literally, he's been there from literally near enough the beginning of the pro days. And how many years later, well, best friends, we talk outside of work, but it's weird. We've never really argued or even had a fight. And even if we did, it'll be like, I'll leave it alone, man up, and we're fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, brother, brother. Yeah. Brother Green. Again, he's, for me, he's brought me even with his family. His brothers, his dad, his little girl, even though she's always cry when I used to hold her as a kid. But
doing a good job as a heel, brother. That's all I'm hearing.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. He just did
work that hold, brother.
Listen, I was like, "Oh, you're right," and she's like,
"He didn't know."
No.
I think that's what it is. Like he never, how
that's what he's telling the audience.
you know how normally when you're talking to little children, you're like, "Hello," you're doing the little baby voice. He would talk, "You all right, Julia?" Like he'd still have that big booming, like he's this big menacing guy, like, and he's all right, and she's like a days old, and he's. I think that's what it was. She's a little girl. But she loves him. That she just used to get really sort of. I think she was intimidated by him.
Listen,
he wasn't soft. He wasn't.
This was like this for years. For years it was like this. I'm like, "Oh, you're right, Julia."
But by the time she's about 2 or something like that, she had no problem. Once she understood, once she understood what's going on in the world, she was good with you. Probably even like a year or so. But in the early days, she was very sort of.
There's a picture that I have basically of when she was like literally near enough born.
Yeah.
And I'm smiling, and the picture she's literally looking at me.
Yeah, he's holding her, and she's like.
And literally she's looking at me, and literally as soon as the picture snaps, she's crying straight away.
Godzilla's got a snack, mate. Oh dear. Well, I mean, I've fucking loved having you on. I've told Anton this a couple of times at Rumble. I'm not sure if you know, Gabe. So when I started Wrestle Plug about almost 7 years ago, we used to. So we started doing this thing called watch-alongs, which is basically like reaction videos. So we just find completely random wrestling. And one of the very first watch-alongs we actually found was of The Business versus a couple of lads. I have no clue who they were. One of them was this huge fucking fat lad in trunks, covered in tattoos.
It was Tattoo Demons. It was Martin and Gerard.
So we found this match, and what we do is we just find a random match. We don't watch it beforehand. We organically react to it, and we have it on in the background. I think it was for UKPW, who I don't think are very keen on other people using their footage, judging by some of the communication I've had with them recently. But yeah, no, it was that thing of, I remember watching it, and I don't think normally we're pretty harsh, I'll be honest, we're pretty cunty to people, which is why I've got a lot of heat with some guys, especially the deathmatch community, because we find some atrocious shit like trampoline wrestling, all sorts. But I remember watching it, and we were relatively entertained by you, and you were literally the first ever tag team watch along we did, which was quite cool, and that was years ago. But yeah, and the less said about your tag team opponents, the better, if I'm being honest, because I distinctly remember them being utterly trash in that match. No offense. But...
Well, Martin Payne and Gerard.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
They're quite good, though. Thing is, they're actually quite, like, Martin, I know for sure.
It might just been a dud. You know what it's like.
Maybe,
yeah. It's a bit of an unfair process for us because obviously we just find the one match.
Yeah.
So we could have found the one match where you just haven't had I'm sure there's Rumble matches where you think, Jesus Christ. But then if we showed you for instance, the ladder match from the weekend, everyone would lose their fucking minds.
And I think some of that stuff translates better if you're actually there.
Yeah,
exactly.
Not
all matches are worked for a camera, are they? Some are
What was the finish? Remind me of the finish again.
And that went a bit off because we were supposed to do like with the bats and they were gonna come in with the bats. We duck. I hit the RKO. You hit the spine buster. But we were a little bit out of sync with it. So that went a little bit. There was a point there was going to be a hot tag, I think. But it never came to me, so I ended up just coming in the ring, just standing there like to be fair, that was like our second match back as a tag team as well. After that big layoff. So maybe some of that was on us.
Fair enough. Well, I don't want to bury the business. So
people can say, "Oh, Gabe's he's all about heat." But look, I was still giving our tag team, I was giving our opponents,
and we were baby faces.
We
were baby faces as well. So you got to find your room there.
I'm better as a heel. I can do baby face, but as a heel, boy, you're gonna want to stab me.
To celebrate this podcast, we'll do a couple of watch-alongs to go with it and drop. So that'll be quite nice. So you guys it'll be like the business for the weekend, like just the business all weekend on the Wrestle Plug. It'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, it's been a real pleasure, gentlemen. I've not had too much of an experience with you, Gabe, really, to be honest. Not enough at shows, but I'm really excited about having you back more regularly, mate. Heal up soon because I know how much of a bitch that is personally. And obviously, Anton, I see you at so many shows, mate. So it's a real pleasure. Looking forward to traveling up and down the country, mate. And looking forward to our Nando's in Cardiff, bruv.
I'm going to be there.
Gabe can jump in the car.
I'm coming. Trust me. When is the show?
June the 25th.
I will be there. I'll be there.
Oh, there you go. Excellent. I look forward to that. We should do a podcast on the move.
Yeah.
All right. I'll have all the cameras in the world. Right, gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on. Don't forget to check out Talking the Business, right? That's the name.
Let's Talk Business.
Let's Talk Business. So make sure you check that out. It'll be in the description, obviously, because we could put it on screen. But you know what wrestling fans are like? They're fucking lazy. So go to the description. They just are. I just know. I work with them all the fucking time. But yeah, it's been a real pleasure. And obviously, if you want to check out the socials as well, we'll include that just in case for some ungodly reason they want you to get in contact with him. And maybe you can message Gabe and ask him what he thinks about AEW this week. So. But yeah, other than that, I've been Aaron X, but most importantly, thank you very much to the business for joining us at the Wrestle.
Thank you, man.
Thank you. Enjoy it. Look forward to coming back again soon.
Thank you.
Peace.
Take care, lads.